Hello students, I am Shela Gul, your psychology teacher. We have understood what are the goals of the psychological research in the series of methods of inquiry in psychology. Now have to understand what are the steps in conducting scientific research. Before that, you should understand that science is not what it investigates, but in science it is important that how it is investigated. The scientific methods attempts to study a particular event in an objective, systematic and testable manner. The things have to be understood that it should be objective, systematic and it can be tested by others also, right? Now, what is objectivity? Objectivity refers to the fact that if two or more persons independently study a particular event, both of them to a great extent should come at the same conclusion. Now, I can take an example of a physical dimension. If I am measuring how much meters a cloth is, then what I measure and what a shopkeeper measure should be same. Then only it is said to be objective data. Similarly, if I am talking about the psychological data, if my IQ is 90, then if another psychologist tests me, my IQ should come approximately same, that is 90 only or around 90. If somebody says that I am 70 and if I say I am 90, if I test myself and 90 comes, that means the data is not objective. Next is to understand or to conduct a scientific inquiry, we should have a systematic procedure. That means turn-wise turn, step-wise investigation. And that systematic investigation includes many steps. And first of the step is conceptualizing a problem. The process of scientific inquiry begins when a researcher selects a theme. What is a theme? Theme is actually the topic for the study. Students, we need to understand that the theme should be, the question should be formulated in such a way that the focus should be on the problem only, right? We should not be very wide open. It should be precise. Problem is based on the review of the past researches. It may be their observations, personal experiences, etc. Now students, for example, to make this more clear, if I am studying the study habits of students, then I have to understand what type of study habits I have to study. If I am interested to know about the study habits in school, at home, tuition center or whatnot. So I have to be very precise to know what I want to study. Then only I can make a precise problem or precise question for my problem. So students, for this I have to understand first my own behavior. For example, how I believe, what are my behaviors, what I have are my experiences. Then I have to understand others' behavior also. Next, I have to understand how one individual influences by other groups, or how group influences individual behavior. I have to understand the behavior at the organization level too. So for this, the things goes on and on. We have to understand everything very clearly. The first of all, problem indicates the relationship between the variables. After formulation of problem, a hypothesis is formed. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a tentative and testable statement about the relationship between the two variables. That is why it is known as hypothesis. Now, I can give you an example of a hypothesis. If I can say that if your number of hours of studies increases, your result increases. So, what I have done? I have correlated two variables, result and the number of hours of study in my hypothesis. It may be true for somebody, it may not be, but we will have to test this hypothesis through my research, right? Now, second is collecting data. After making the problem, after conceptualizing a problem, we need to collect the data. For data collection requires a research design. What is a research design? Research design is the blueprint of the entire study. Now students, you may ask me, ma'am, why do we need a research design? Beta, like an architect builds a plan for a building, similarly we are an architect of a research study. We need to make a plan. Why? Because if the architect had made a plan, plumber comes, he studies the plan and does his work. Similarly, electrician can do, the mason can do the work, the interior decorator can do the work. Similarly, if we have the research plan, we can all do our work even if our researcher, the main head, though the one who has conceptualized the problem or started the study, is there or not. He may not be there because of certain issues, or he may not be there because he has died or something. In any way, the research should go on, and for that systematic organized study we need a plan which can be followed by all the researchers or all the sub-assistants of one researcher. Now first, the next is participants are decided. Who are the participants? I have to decide this. Like if I am taking an example of the study time, right? I want to study the study time. I want to look at it and the result. Am I studying pre-primary students or the primary group or higher group, higher secondary or senior secondary? This is to be decided, which age group, which class group, or if I am understanding the college going students. So if I am going to study this about the hours and the result, I have to decide who are the participants of my study. Next is method of data collection. Method of data collection can be varied. For example, observation, experimental, correlation method, or any questionnaire. So I have to decide my mode of data collection as well as the tool used. For example, I can take an interview, I can take a written questionnaire test, I can do a survey. I have to decide which tool is to be used for collecting the data. Next, procedure for data collection is decided. How the tools needed to be administered to collect the data. That is individual to collect data, that is individual or group administration. I have to decide everything, and after this only the actual data collection can take place. Next in line is drawing conclusion. After collecting the data, I have to analyze the data to understand its meaning. See, for any mathematician, the numbers are just numbers until and unless they are organized and analyzed. Similarly, any observation, any questionnaire, any data that have been collected is useless until and unless it is organized and analyzed by the psychologist. So analyzing of the data has to be done to understand its meaning, its outcome. we can use graphical representation of the data so that we can understand it nicely in a better way. We can do the graphical representation through bar graph, pie chart, histogram, mean, median, mode, or anything else also. The purpose of analysis is to verify the hypothesis and draw the conclusions accordingly. To understand the study, to draw the conclusions about the study, we need to analyze the data. Now, what to do after conclusion? See, we have to sometimes revise the research conclusions. We start the research begins with the hypothesis, right? The researcher sees whether the conclusions support the hypothesis or not. See, the conclusion has come. Now we will compare this conclusion with the hypothesis which we have already formulated. If it is not supporting the hypothesis, if it is confirmed, then it is okay. But if it is not, then I have to repeat my research so that I can verify it. Because without verification, any research is useless. Is the nature of psychological data. Data is any information related to mental processes, experiences, and behavior collected by using various tools. We already know this. Now, psychological data can be of various types. To understand that, first is demographic information or demographic data. This information includes the personal information related to a particular individual. This includes name, age, gender, education, marital status, residence, caste, religion, income, which have personal relevance. Now students, to remember this demographic information, remember the first page of your diary, school diary, the acknowledgement. Okay, those things are the personal information or the demographic data. We try to understand you through that first page of your diary. That is why the school may differ, but that information remains same. We understand whether you are a middle child, first child, second child, whether your siblings are in the school or not, whether your parents are working or not, what is their education level. All this is going to affect you. That is why a teacher or school collects this demographic data, because it is going to affect you everywhere. Second is physical information. Physical information includes information pertaining to physical environment, that is ecological condition. Now, what are the ecological conditions? It may include the housing condition. It may include the facilities that are available in the school, at home, or the transportation, or about the economical situation at my home. It may also include where I am staying. For example, I am in the hilly area, or I am in the congested area, or I am in a sector, or I am in a old city, right? This physical information helps us to understand a person. If a person is living on a hilly area, we will believe that his physical capacity is more. He can endure more rough terrain, right? And he doesn't have more economical options in the hilly areas, as there are limited things in the hilly areas, the things that they can do, right? So according to the physical information, we can understand whether a child is having a personal room or not. Is he having sufficient privacy or not? Is there crowding at home? Is there crowding in the neighborhood? Right? All these things sometimes affect us. If we don't have privacy, we may be cranky, we may be irritated, we may be affected by it because we are not getting personal touch, right? And there are so many people interfere with us, then it may affect us psychologically. So physical information help us to understand a person better. For example, if a person is living in a desert area, we understand that a person has been born there, bred over there, his endurance for heat is more than another person, than a person from a hilly area. So physical information is also very important. By physical information we can understand that can a child get a personal vehicle, drive a personal vehicle in that area? Can he get a transport, common transport from his home or not? Or is he have to walk a lot to get a scooter, auto or rickshaw? These things help us to understand others more. Next is psychological information. Psychological information includes data that is related to our psychological functioning. It involves data about intelligence, personality, attitudes, values, emotions, motivations, and dysfunctional also. These data help us to evaluate an individual. For example, if your IQ is very, very low, it is under the range of mental retardation. You may not look like a mentally retarded person, but your range shows that there is a retardation. So, should I expect you to do higher order thinking questions? No. It is going to help us to allot an appropriate task to you. It helps us to deal with that person, right? If a person is having nightmares, if a person is having delusions, hallucinations, and if I get to know, I will be more sensitive towards the situation of that individual. That is why psychological data is very much important to evaluate the psychological health or the mental health of an individual and to support that person too. Now students, one more data is physiological data. Physiological data is related to the biological data, that is height, weight, level of fatigue, my EEG, it can be heart rate, blood pressure, the sleep, reaction time, etc. If my physical health is not good, it will indicate in these physiological data, and we can take care of these things in front of this person. So students, none of the data is unimportant. Every data gives us insight about the individual's condition. We have to divide the data into various categories so that it can help us to analyze the statistical measures that we have to use and the way we have to deal with the individual. So students, we should not take any of the data lightly, and in any research study we should collect all types of data. Thank you students. I hope you had a good learning. Happy learning.